Okay. The audio is off. Please put it on. Life and service to God, transforming our world. We invite you to come for the word, but we know that you will stay for the kingdom. The Bridge Network is located in Canada, Vancouver, and we believe in connecting to each other, to the community, and to God. To support us and to be part of this, these are the information you need to be able to do that. We welcome you to our program today, and we trust that you're going to be blessed. Thank you so much for being with us. The Bridge Network, City Church, Canada. God bless you. Okay, it's good to be here this morning. I want to thank all of you for being here. City Church, Canada, and again, we're in transition. I want to apologize for that because we're going through a bit of crisis, and it's 6 to 8 months now, and it's really becoming a real issue. So we're moving again by the grace of God and the cooperation of men. So thank you so much for being here. Topic for today, focus today is one purpose-driven leader is worth 1,000 hirelings. And the reason why this is a home run for me is simply because my country, Nigeria, is going into elections next 5 days, 6 days. And it's been one of the most trying times for any nation. Currency issues, petrol issues, because we've always had corruption and leadership issues, and among other things. And this kind of, for me, captures the essence. One purpose-driven leader is worth 1,000 hirelings. And for me, I feel we've had thousands of hirelings. Discussing that next week as we round up the month. But one purpose-driven leader. And after this, there's this TED talk by the founder of universities in Africa who says, unlike the president of the United States or the prime minister of Canada, the UK, one African leader can make such a difference to so many people. And so this is just going to be a passionate plea, and I really don't want to go into partisan politics here. I know who I would vote for. I don't know who you would vote for, but my prayer is that it will be a purpose-driven leader. And more important than all that is that God give us leaders through whom you will be glad to give us the victory, give us purpose-driven leaders. And Pastor Lumide, the resident pastor back in Nigeria, brings his perspective, his unique perspective this morning to this topic and helps summarizes the other two. And next week, I'll present the perspective that I feel is at this particular time, as led by the grace of God, by the Spirit. So let's listen to Pastor Lumide as he walks the congregation through that today. Please go ahead and play the video.
The challenge we've always had is that the moment we go out to vote, it also becomes a hindrance if it is not working fine. Thank you, sir. Sorry, apologies. I'm sure they'll fix that. Sorry, just a minute. government or from transiting from one government or administration into another. And the challenge we've always had is that the moment we go out to vote, everybody goes back to their home and think that there is a Messiah that has come into office. Only for us to wait after how many years to now discover that there's no Messiah anywhere. And one very strategic statement that she also made. All right. So one very strategic statement that she also made is the fact that as a church, do you know that we've always been praying? We've always been praying for leaders in this nation. And one strategic statement that she made is the fact that you are actually the leader that you are praying for, because you have a sphere of influence. It is the cumulative effort of each and every one of us that will transform this nation. It is the cumulative effort of each one of us. And we're going to see that. So technically, I'm not really preaching a different message. It's just more to reemphasize the messages that those two who have come before me, they've actually preached. Afterwards, last Sunday, HOD began to talk to us. That's Mr. Ademola Adewusi. Began to talk to us about one purpose-driven leader. One purpose-driven leader. The mission of salt and light. The fact that we must be salt. You know, salt is does more of a covert operation where it gets into food as a small element, but it transforms the entire food. And when salt is not there, no, don't worry, I'm fine with it, except it goes off. And once salt is not there, the food now ultimately becomes tasteless. But again, if salt is just kept on the shelf and it is not used for what it is meant to be used for, the Bible says it will be trampled underfoot. It becomes a useless entity. But he also began to say that we must ensure that we are not just only salt, but we also transcend to become light. I don't want to repeat that message. The message is online for us to listen to. Now, this morning, this is where I am starting from. And I'm looking at this topic, towering I as a leader in the face of crisis. Towering I as a leader in the face of crisis. Lessons from David. You know, Mrs. Osaya used a model as Joshua. Mr. Adewusi used this model as who? Nehemiah. I am picking my own lessons from David. And I think it is very, very apt and crucial for the times that we are living in, especially this season that we are living in, that it seems as if things are just progressively going worse. One would have thought that immediately, how many of you listen to, to the counter message of one of our governors? Do you know that, you know something is very funny? Something is very funny. Do you know that all of a sudden, the governors now discovered the hard power? All of a sudden, the governors now discovered the hard power. But I have always been a firm believer that if truly this country, outside of the citizen, if truly this country will be transformed, it is actually more in the hands of the governors than it is in the hand of the president. But every now and then, before now, the governors had always used the excuse of the president for their own incapacity. And all of a sudden, right now, they now think that they have the power. But let's leave them alone. Let's come to ourselves. I'm actually looking at this from the book of 1 Samuel chapter 30. 1 Samuel chapter 30 from verse 1 to 31. And please, I want you to just be patient with me. I want you to be patient with me and follow me. Please just be patient and follow me this morning. But it will also be good for you if you've missed out on the two other messages to listen to those two messages, because this also ties it together. Because the two messages before has been very, very strategic. And I think it's also useful for us in business and in our career, as well as this. Now, it says that now it happened when David and his men came to Ziklag on the third day that the Amalekites had invaded the south and Ziklag. It says, attacked Ziklag and burned it with fire. It says what? And are taking captives the women and those who were there, from small to great. It says they did not kill anyone, but they carried them away and went their way. Verse 3 says, so David and his men came to the city. Now, what happened was that David and his men had gone to a particular battle to fight. But while they were at that battle fighting, the Amalekites had come in to ransack their own country. Just the way right now our country is being ransacked. If you don't think the country is being ransacked, what do you think is happening? We can't have access to cash. We now think, okay, they say cashless. Let's go cashless. We can't even transfer. People who were trying to believe in the cashless economy and trying to do transfer, now all of a sudden now says that, no, I'm not receiving transfers again. And everybody is just there. Listen to me. Do you know how many people have died in hospitals because hospitals refuse to receive transfers? Or they are waiting to confirm the transfer before they treat the patients? It says, then David and his people who were with him, okay, sorry, I've not gotten there. So David and his men came to the city, and it was burned with fire. And their wives, their sons, and their daughters had been taken captive. It says, then David and the people who were with him lifted up their voices and wept until they had no power to weep anymore. Listen, you know, this particular area always baffles me in the sense that these guys are men of war. Anyone who's recently, I was watching a series, and I think you should watch it too if you have the opportunity. I was watching a series on special forces. It's a series. And what is the special forces series all about? They brought people from different sectors, highly placed people, popular people, famous people. They brought them from different sectors to come to the military training camp to undergo a 10-day selection process as if they would join the special forces of the United States. And you will see these guys that were training celebrities. One celebrity is smiling, and the officer says, why are you smiling? Do you know that your smile can cause your death or the death of your team members? One guy, after he had finished his own exercise, he was successful at it. All of a sudden, he had forgotten that he was in a military camp. He now wanted to fist bump the officer. The officer said, so we've now become on the same level, Abi. He gave him a punishment to serve. So you should understand that these guys were just not ordinary men because of their experience in battle. And if these guys could have gotten to this stage whereby it says what? It says they wept until they could weep no more. What does that tell you? They're almost getting into a place whereby they are depressed. Can I tell you something? Can I tell you that this is the truth of the matter? Can I tell you that most of us, we're telling ourselves that, what is all this prayer for the nation all about, self? Because we prayed last week, thinking that things should improve. Things have gone worse. And can I tell you, you have the right to think so. Verse 5, it says that, and David's two wives, Ahinoam, the Jezreelites, and Abigail, the widow of Nabal, the Carmelite, had been taken captive. It says, now David was greatly distressed. Listen, it also affected David too. It says he was greatly distressed, and it says why? Why was David distressed? It says, for the people spoke of stoning him. It says, because the soul, listen to me. How do you think Barry will feel right now when almost all his party members have ganged up against him? Huh? He doesn't feel anything. He doesn't feel like, okay, let's assume he doesn't feel anything. But think about it. People in your own, it's very interesting. The days we are living in Nigeria is very interesting. People of your own party are opposing you. The opposing party are supporting you. Huh? Sir? Sorry, I didn't get you. You know, it's very interesting. Your own party members are opposing your policy. The opposition is supporting your policy. Very interesting times. It says that now David was greatly distressed, for the people spoke of stoning him. Was David in the camp when the Amalekites came and took the people? So why were they pointing accusing fingers at him? But we will still see something. It says that because the soul of all the people, let me tell you, once you get to a place whereby you are so grieved, you are in despair, you have lost hope. Let me tell you, you will just be looking for the next person to put the blame on. It says, every man for his sons and his daughters. It says that what? But David strengthened himself in the Lord is God. Don't forget, what is the title of the message? As in the overall title for the month. One purpose-driven leader is worth more. You will see how many men, about 600 men, 600 men. Maybe if you add David to 601 men, 600 men could not see a way forward from the situation that they were in. And 600 men chose to blame one man that was not even there, that was with them at the war front, for the situation that all of them are in. You know, when crisis hits, it ultimately drains the power out of you. One loses sight of the vision. Listen. How do you guys feel? How do you guys feel? Yesterday, I wanted to get petrol in the car. No, I've used an ATM now, maybe 5 years. I don't have an ATM card. Is that I do transfers? Thank God for the technology. If I want to withdraw money, I do thumb printing. That's what I do. Now, you can't do transfer. They now said, okay, there's POS for you to use POS. I drove to the filling station only to get to the filling station. They said POS is not working. This time around, not that we don't have money. People have money in their bank accounts, and we are all totally helpless. It says that one loses sight of the vision, and if care is not taken, one might fall into a place of despair and depression. You know, I won't mention the name of the person so that I don't embarrass the person. I was with someone. I think about some months ago, I was with the person. The person said that he had the opportunity, got a scholarship to travel out of the country. He went out of the country with his family and everything. But he said that in that scholarship, he had signed that he was going to come back to Nigeria after he had finished what he was going to do. And he said that everybody was saying, are you mad? You are going back where? He said, I am going back to Nigeria. That is what I signed. The guy came back to Nigeria. Only during the ASU strike, he could not even, I think one of his kids was asthmatic or something. He could not afford drugs to keep his child alive. I saw an old man. When he was speaking, he was crying. That doesn't this prove that I have lost my senses when I had the opportunity to leave this country in a country whereby they took care of his kids almost free of charge? Can I say something that, however, you have either two choices to make? Two choices. Number one is to fall to the place where you think you are powerless and put all the blame on someone else, just like David's men did. Or assess the situation and take responsibility that the buck stops with you. That is the difference between a leader and a hireling. A hireling will want to put the responsibility on someone else. The president made an announcement through the Central Bank of Nigeria how many months ago that we were moving. All the governors did not do anything. They didn't do anything. Now that the crisis has hit, all the governors are now turning against the president and want to look like superstars in the sight of their people and want to blacklist one man. And I'm not saying Buhari is a saint, don't get me wrong. It has shown to us to the extent to which our leadership in this country has been brought low. But concerning you, are you still in that situation with whatever is happening right now? With whatever is happening right now, are you still in that situation? You are still looking for someone to blame. And like I said, you are very, very right to blame that person. God help you, blame Buhari, blame Sheyi Makinde. I'm sure they don't even know you exist. Or are you going to take responsibility for your life? You know, I think I said it here about 2 Sundays ago when there was this issue of people were spraying money when citizens did not have money. I said all of us contributed. If you've been at a party and you've bought money to spray, you've contributed to what happened there. I told someone, I said when the SARS situation happened, people were abusing police. If you had unlawfully used the police to oppress someone, you caused what the police are doing. Do you know even today, do you know that we are part of the people? Do you know how much volume of information we share on social media, stupid things that we share? And when the repercussion falls on us, you are the first to pull back and say, no, they are the ones that are causing it. When you get to your place of work, do you stand up for righteousness? Or you just say what HOD was telling us last week, or you just sit down there and say, no, I can't join them, but I can't condemn them. It says that it is, this is a quote from, what I always do is that I always put the links where I get my information from underneath. It says that it's tragic that the ranks of leadership include hirelings who serve for paychecks rather than purpose. Leadership is a calling, not a career. Leadership is a calling, not a career. Do you know the interesting thing about protest? Do you know that protest starts with one person? It starts with one person inciting everybody. Who do you think is the leader of the protest? The people that are shouting or the person that incited them? Let's continue. 1 Samuel 30 from verse 7. It says, then David said to Abiathar the priest, Ahimelech's son, please bring the ephod here to me. And Abiathar brought the ephod to David. So David inquired of the Lord, saying, shall I pursue this troop? Shall I overtake them? And he answered him, pursue, for you shall surely overtake them, and without fail recover all. Next question to ponder on, when you are in crisis, who do you consult with? And can I say that there's nothing wrong consulting with human beings. That the person you are consulting with, is that the person God has asked you to consult with? The Bible says that the arm of flesh will do what? Will fail us. And don't let us forget something. And I think that is one of the things we learned during the prayer school this week, that we wrestle not against flesh and blood. And that's the more reason why the very first person as a child of God to consult with is what? Is God. And let God direct your steps to who? You know, now all of a sudden, both rich and poor, we are almost on the same level right now, except maybe those in the political class. Like you are seeing money in your account and you are doing transfer, and that you're transferring is just rolling. It's just rolling. It's just rolling. After it rolls for like 5 minutes, it says transaction declined or try another time. Okay, so you say transaction complete. The worst part of it is that the money is debited in your account. It doesn't reach the destination's account. And unfortunately, there's even no bank to go and complain to because they are all closed. He says, who do you seek to draw perspective and directions from in the face of crisis? Listen, guys, I hope you will understand this story that I am painting before us this morning. David was a man of war. David understood the strategies of war. David could have just told his men, guys, sit down, let's strategize. But what did David do? David first consulted with God. Listen, whatever is happening in our nation today, you can look at it in the eyes of the physical, or you can look at it from God's perspective in the lens of the spirit. Let's continue. Verse 9. It says, so David went, he and the 600 men who were with him, and came to the brook of Bezor, where those stayed who were left behind. Verse 10, but David pursued, he and 400 men, for 200 stayed behind, who were so weary that they could not cross the brook of Bezor. 600 men, 200 men were tired. Ensure to make a thorough and objective assessment of your team. Let me tell you, those guys could have stayed there and be arguing, why should we go and fight the war for you? Maybe we all went to the other battle. Why would you complain that you are tired? But you will see something interesting in this when we get to the end. And it's very important, very important. You have to sit down. Because can I tell you, some people are genuinely tired. Some people are just tired. They cannot withstand the pressure. But God has given you strength. You now want to put that on the others that no, we have to go and fight this battle together. They are the ones that will cause destruction for you in that battle. Verse 11. Then David found an Egyptian in the field and then they found an Egyptian in the field and brought him to David, and he gave him bread and ate, and they let him drink water, and they gave him a piece of a cake of figs and 2 clusters of raisin. So when he had eaten, his strength came back to him, for he had eaten no bread nor drunk water for 3 days and 3 nights. Then David said to him, to whom do you belong, and where are you from? And he said, I am a young man from Egypt, servant of an Amalekite, and my master left me behind because 3 days ago I fell sick. We made an invasion of the southern area of the Cherethites in the territory which belongs to Judah, and of the southern area of Caleb, and we burned Ziklag with fire. And David said to him, can you take me down to this troop? So he said, swear to me by your God that you will neither kill me nor deliver me into the hands of my master, and I will take you down to this troop. And when he had brought him down, when he had brought him down, there they were spread out over all the land, eating and drinking and dancing, because of all the great spoil which they had taken from the land of Philistines and from the land of Judah. Listen, can I ask you a question? You meet one of the people that ravaged your home along the way, what will you do? You will give him food. Huh? Will you give the mercy? You give the person food. You will say, calm down, calm down, calm down. You know what I read? It says that be cautious. It says that an enemy could become a conduit for intelligence gathering. It says, especially the vulnerable ones, those maltreated and abandoned because they have outlived their usefulness to the enemy. And listen, that is the reason why you need to consult with God first. Because let me tell you, if not, this is the guy that made them win the war. Don't forget, Mrs. Osai also told us that before we go out, we need to do what? Intelligence gathering. Can I tell you something? Those in the political field understand this. That is the reason why they will move someone like, you know the person, I won't mention his name, that is always talking loud. He has started the talking now. He can abuse anybody. They will allow him to come into their camp, even though he had abused them before in the other camp. And David attacked them from twilight until the evening of the next day. Not a man of them escaped, except 400 young men who rode on camels and fled. It says, then David recovered all that the Amalekites had carried away, and David rescued his 2 wives. It says, and nothing of theirs was lacking, either small or great, sons or daughters, spoil or anything which they had taken from them. It says, David recovered all. Then David took all the flocks and herds they had driven before those other livestock and said, this is David's spoil. Now David came to the 200 men who had been so weary that they could not follow David, whom they also had made to stay at the brook Bezor. For they went out to meet David and to meet the people who were with him. And when David came near the people, he greeted them. Then all the wicked and worthless men of those who went with David answered and said, because they did not go with us, we will not give them any of the spoil that we have recovered, except for every man's wife and children, that they may lead them away and depart. But David said, my brethren, you shall not do so with what the Lord has given us, who has preserved us and delivered into our hand the troop that came against us. For who will heed you in this matter? But as his part is who goes down to the battle, so shall his part be who stays by the supplies. They shall share alike. Do you know that if David had conceded to those guys, he would have done exactly what the Amalekites did to the Egyptian? It says that when victory is won, you must not disparage the vulnerable members of your team. Think shared prosperity. How many of us remember this? Pastor said this at the beginning of the year. Why? Because those guys, it wasn't as if those guys did not want to go to war, but they were just tired. They were just tired. So it was from that day forward. He made it a statute and an ordinance for Israel to this day. Now, when David came to Ziklag, he sent some of the spoil to the elders of Judah, to his friends, saying, here is a present for you from the spoil of the enemies of the Lord, to those who were in Bethel, to those who were in Ramoth of the south, to those who were in Jatiah, those who were in Ara, those who were in Sifmoth, those who were in Eshtemoa, those who were in Reka, those who were in the cities of Jerahmeelites, those who were in the cities of the Canaanites, those who were in Omar, those who were in Chorashan, those who were in Achach, those who were in Hebron, and to all the places where David himself and his men were accustomed to rove. Once victory is won, build bridges to expand your influence. You know, something very interesting from this portion is that, do you know that at the end of the day, these were the guys that crowned David as king? These guys that he sent gifts to, were the ones that crowned David as king. You No, but another thing I will just quickly want to draw our attention back to quickly. It says, verse 26 says, now when David came to Ziklag, he sent some of the spoils to the elders of Judah, to his friends, saying, he didn't just give them the gift, he also described, he also painted a narrative to them. Let me tell you, whatever you like, you can say about any of these politicians. But can I tell you that they are painting narratives? They are painting narratives with this cashless wala. They are painting a narrative. I was shocked. Listen to me. This is my thinking. I was shocked on Wednesday. Yeah, on Wednesday there was protest all over Ibadan. Abi, on Wednesday. How come on Thursday that our man came to Ibadan, there was no protest? They went to meeting with rejoicing. Let's think. There was protest a day before. He now arrived. The guy came to Ibadan. There was no protest. Everybody drummed with drums and dancing, went to meeting. You know what they've done? They've painted a narrative to exonerate him from all that is happening in our country right now. And the people are sucked into that narrative. Can I ask you a question? What narrative are you painting? What narrative are you painting concerning your business? What narrative are you painting concerning your life? What narrative are you painting? These guys have mastered that art. They've mastered the art. Listen, leadership is influence. There is so much that you can do where you are right now. In your office, what narrative are you painting? What narrative are you driving? Are you also going to join the bandwagon and say, after May 29, when the next president comes in, our Messiah has arrived? Until 4 years after, you now discover that there's no Messiah anywhere. But can I also say something? This and other messages that we have listened to are strategic positions that we must take, even in business. Even in business, even in career. Some of us, the moment victory is won, it is ourselves. We just want everybody should know that I achieved that victory. When people even come say, I know I can't share with you, what sacrifice did you make? David, without anyone telling him, the Bible says that he shared the spoils of war. He shared it. 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 Brothers and sisters, we have to wake up. Why? Because we are on an agenda for the kingdom of God. If you still don't realize that now, I was pondering. This is me. I was pondering. I had a program in UI on Wednesday, and I was driving to UI. I went through it was blocked. I had to turn back, come back through Sabo, got to Songo. Songo was blocked. I turned back, went through Premier Hotel, through Bodija. I got to Bodija Railway Crossing. It was blocked. I turned back, went through the Bodija Estate, got to Ojo. I got to Ojo roundabout. It was blocked. Which route again to UI? I just saw it. I thank God I knew some road. I now went through Orogun. At a point on that road to Orogun, it was blocked. But I now noticed that there was this particular gate that they allowed a guy. The guy actually, a car came out, and the imam came out in his car through that gate. So before they closed the gate, the guy before me just drove in and went. While I was trying to maneuver, they closed the gate back, but they've already used the vehicle to block the road. I was now looking, I can't go back. I can't go back. Because they were even already calling me from UI that where am I? And I was just scanning. And all of a sudden, I just saw this, I think, imam or something. He held this rosary. I just got down from the car and I went to meet him. I said, sir, please help me talk to this your guys. Where I'm going to is not far. I'm going to UI. The imam says, don't tell them that you are going to UI. They won't allow you to go. He says, because this vehicle that blocked the road, they turned the vehicle back from UI, and he doesn't know how he's going to sell his bread for that day. He says, tell them that you are going to the hospital. I didn't know there was an hospital. He says, tell them that you are going to the hospital very close by. That would have meant lying, Abby. You guys want to hear the rest of the story. Now, this is not what happened. Rather than me approach them, the man now called the person, one of them, and now told the person that he's going to the hospital over there. Please open the gate for him. You know, the very funny thing is that the guy who came to open the gate now says, me too, I was wondering that the person that has parked this car like this must be going to someone very close. And they opened the gate and I passed through. What am I trying to say? That guy would have been there. If I had not seen him as an ally that I could have used, I would still be stuck there. Listen to me. One of the things I believe as Christians we must understand is this. I think I said it during the week, during the prayer school. God is not a Christian. God is not a Christian. Jesus is not a Christian. It's blasphemous. Go and show me in the scripture where they said God is a Christian. Even Jesus, because where Christianity emanated from was after Jesus Christ had gone, they began to see the attribute of these disciples and they said, and they labeled them Christian. You know why? When you begin to think like that, you will discover that, and Mrs. Osai was sharing with us and telling us that how did Joshua get into Jericho? How? Rahab, you have not completed one. Rahab the harlot, Rahab the prostitute. If you are the person, you will have written Rahab off. Light cannot. Let me just round up. Listen, they are strategic. Let me tell you, you have to understand some certain things. And that is the reason why, as Christians, the first place we must start from was the place David started from, is to consult with God. Because it is God that will open your eyes to see the strategic people he has positioned to help you maneuver your way to get that thing accomplished. I'm trying to see how to wrap it up this morning. Can we just bow our heads? But like I've often said from the beginning of this month, is to prayerfully think. Prayerfully think. Prayerfully think. Let's talk to God, but also think. Let me tell you, for some of us, the Spirit of the Lord needs to turn us upside down and empty us. There are some notions that we've put in ourselves. There are some notions that we've put in ourselves. There are some ideologies we've embraced. And those ideologies are limiting us, or should I say, debarring us. Where is that place of intelligence gathering? Where is that place of being strategic? Where is that place of seeking God first? Or should I say, consulting with God? Do you think that these other guys that we're talking about, do you think, let me tell you, can I say this? Can I say this? And you will see it cut across almost virtually all the nations of the world. There is no administration in any country that can succeed without a religious backing. None. Go and check virtually even the countries that say they are communist. There's always some sort of religiosity. You know why? Because religion is easy to put people in bondage. That's the easiest way to put people in bondage, religion. And that's why you'll find out from time to time across the world, prophets must come out and tell you that this is the president you must vote for, even when God has not spoken. Pastor Isaac, I think it will fall on you to round up this morning. But I want you to just think. I want you to just think over the messages that we've listened to this month in particular. And not just only think politically alone. Think about your business, think about your career. At this point, are they useful for you where you are? Are there things that you need to apply yourself to? Are there things that you need to adopt? But can I say something? Of everything else, it must always start from the place of consulting with God. Or can I say from the place of seeking the face of the Lord, which is what we will treat in the network service. Pastor Isaac.
All right, thank you so much. As you can see, one of the reasons why I'm leaving this message is because of the timing, because of the place it needs to go. Decisions are to be made in the next 5 days, but like Pastor Lumide said, it's beyond just the election. There's the counting results, there's the announcement to the result, there's the possibility of violence after the results answered. But all those are still child's play concerning, aside from what we need to move the country forward, how we need to have a common vision that we're all running with, in spite of who comes out successful in this election. One of the prayers I mentioned is that there will be clear margins to avoid court cases and unnecessary violence so that human lives. So let me ask you this morning to please here is to keep us praying without faith. And for Nigeria for a very long time, I believe God wants us to do it differently this year. And so thank you so much. God bless you. Look, you can second service. Thank you.